an eternal struggle that we have as a software development company is that software developers are inherently very STEM oriented. They're very good at remembering facts and figures and things, and they're very good at reading stuff. You know, you can tell if somebody is a software engineer or not based on when the computer suddenly pops up an error message. If they lean forward and try to read it, that's probably a software engineer. If they click whatever button makes it go away so they can get back to work, it's probably everybody else, right? And so that's a fundamental behavioral difference, right? That people don't want to be reading this stuff and trying to interpret because it doesn't fit with how they operate. An error message is something that is interrupting and stopping you from working, and it's like, oh, it's broken. What do I click to make this go away so I can get back to doing my work? Not, okay, so what does this mean and how is this going to impact, you know, like that's not how humans are. So we shouldn't be throwing these error messages in their face and trying to expect them to then read it and understand it and interpret it. And
who, the customers?
Yeah, absolutely. We shouldn't expect customers to want to do that. You know, we should try to adapt our software to how the customers are going to be using it and what they're experiencing. And if there are errors, you don't want to tell them necessarily what the error is. I mean, that's important. What's more important is how do they get past it? How do they solve?
Right, as far as what they care, yeah, right,
yeah.
Right.
You know, hey, I mean, you end up with these ridiculous error messages. Like I remember there was an ISP that I had in Australia, and it would sometimes time out when you were logged in, but the button would still say log off. So you had to click log off, so it would turn back into a log in button. But you click log off, and then the message that would come up would say, unable to log off. Please log in and try again. Like nobody, like, okay. So I mean, it's good that it tells me what I need to do in order to successfully log off, which is to log in again and try again. But that's an example of just how we end up with this difference in a kind of a STEM world and in a real world. In the real world, people want to be able to follow a sequence of steps that flow naturally, that let them be most effective at what they're trying to achieve. That's what they want to do. They don't want to wrestle with and understand and learn about what the error message means. They want to know how to achieve their.
Well, yeah, I mean, people are specialized into their own thing. If you're, say, a writer who's working on your computer, I mean, you're using a basic word processor, but if you get error messages, you have no interest or care in what that stuff is, nor should you waste any of your time trying to learn it because your job is to do the writing.
Absolutely, ideally, absolutely.
And for a software company to operate positively in the way that you're talking about demonstrates a degree of empathy. For them to put the testers through the true user interface and pay money to the tester to do that demonstrates empathy. And when you're empathetic towards the customers, they get a product that's better, and then you make more money. And the customer is able to do what they want to do better. It all works.
It does. But it requires a constant and consistent leadership from the non-STEM people to lead the STEM people into understanding that this is an issue. Because as a software programmer, you see errors all day long. Your compiler is constantly spitting back at you different error messages about things you may have forgotten, or your test cases are running. All these things are running constant. So you're used to seeing an error message and reading it and trying to understand what it is so you can go back and fix it. So to you, that's normal, and presenting that to the user is normal. But by having a corporate culture, which is what comes from continued leadership of the people in the company, by creating this corporate culture where we de-STEMize our software, we end up with more human software, and that's something that I always wanted to do was create elegant software that was human usable, and additive to a human's experience. A performance enhancer, not another weird shaped tool that they have to try and figure out how to operate.